Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the host of the Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. I am also the founder and lead investigator of Deep Woods Paranormal. Along with my wife Amanda and other people, we go out and research everything paranormal: Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, demons, haunted homes, haunted places, if you will, river monster, lakes monsters, strange lights. We basically investigate everything paranormal. So, real quick before I start, I just need to go back over this. I don't know if you can see this, and it's blocking it out. Okay, so that says Manscaped, and it says crop preserver. And what that is basically deodorant for down there. For probably, it's supposed to be for guys, but I'm sure women can use it as well. Um, I just wanted to do a quick review on it and make sure you guys can see it. It's not easy to see. So it says Manscaped. Bear with the whole in and out thing. So it says crop preserver, and it's about a 4 fluid ounce bottle. It smells really nice. Yeah, has a good smell. It's very soft and creamy, and essentially has worked really well for me down there. I basically used it for a couple of weeks, and I really like it. So, if you're interested in getting some of this Manscaped crop preserver, go down below in the description. Whether you're on the audio podcast or on the video podcast, it's the links down below for Manscaped, and put it in DWP. It'll get you a discount. So, all right, let's get into some Bigfoot news. All right, so we're going to do kind of what we did last week. I guess YouTube doesn't like anything that has to do with Animal Planet because it got blocked. So I don't know if any of you guys were watching the podcast on the YouTube channel. Unfortunately, in some countries it says it's blocked. I'm not monetizing these videos anyways right now, so I don't really care about that. I just want to have you guys enjoy our podcast and can continue to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. That's really important. Please, please, please give us a thumbs up for the videos. It just helps us get our videos watched to more and more. The Bigfoot Only podcast seems to be everyone's favorite. So unfortunately, we're going to sacrifice the Anything Goes Paranormal podcast this week. We're going to do the Bigfoot podcast today, and we'll do the Cryptid Only tomorrow. So let's get into this. I'm going to share my screen with you. Can't remember I left it on. Okay, I left it on that. Okay. I'm going to go back just a few spots here. All right. So this is our website. This is the Deep Woods Paranormal website. Essentially, you can come on here and basically you can see we have home, Deep Woods Productions, podcast, YouTube, public ghost hunts, our team, and social media page. This actually should say public events page. We're working with a lot of different people on setting up events. I'm hoping to get that set up starting in March. And we'll be having ghost hunts, Bigfoot expeditions. We'll be having like events with other teams and other production companies. And then we're going to be, basically doing other things like that. So we're also helping out on a movie, which is going to be really cool. I'm excited for that. And I can't talk about it because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. But anyways, so if you're looking for our podcast page, it's basically here on the deepwoodsparanormal.com/podcasts. You don't have to worry about remembering that. If you want to watch the video or just listen to the audio and you don't want to try and find it on one of the 60 or 70 or 80 podcast locations we're on, you can just come straight here. The link is down below. And I think this is episode 120 now. So there's about 120 episodes on here. And basically, you can pick your poison and see which one you want to listen to. If you like the Bigfoot Only podcast, it's on here. I think we just started doing this, but you can just keep going down and down and down, and you can see more and more and more podcasts. So, anyways, if you want to watch our YouTube videos, you can come over here to YouTube. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, again, all the links are down below for this, so you guys can see this. So this is our last podcast, the paranormal podcast, paranormal news only. And then basically we have a ton of videos in our YouTube playlist. So if you haven't been to our YouTube channel, please go check it out. Links down below. You don't have to remember what it is. Just go to the link below, click on that link, and please let me try it again. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Again, that really helps us. What also helps us is when people donate to our channel. Essentially, whether you're on an audio podcast or a video podcast, you can go down below. Again, there's a link that you can buy us a coffee. I've gone over this a million times, but essentially you can basically just buy 1, 3, 5, whatever. Someone just bought us 5 coffees the other day. It's about $3, and it's a $3 donation per coffee. And essentially, our goal is to get to $2,000. The reason I'm trying to get $2,000 is there's a camera that I really want that will upgrade our video quality and our audio quality on our video, so that when we're out looking for Bigfoots or we're doing anything else paranormal wise, you guys will get the best video possible. We have a really good video camera now, but it's just kind of starting to get outdated, and we had to climb up to that next level camera if we want to continue to shoot better and better videos. So anyways, you guys can, if you guys have questions about that or anything, all my information is down below. My email, my personal cell number's there. You can call, text me, whatever. You can email me. If you'd like to be on the show, you had a Bigfoot experience or Bigfoot sighting or something else, a story to share. We'd love to hear it. Again, there's no judgments on this channel. We'd love to hear your story. If you don't want to be known, we can make you unknown. We can, not say your name or anything like that. And you can tell your story. I know a lot of people out here, unfortunately, in the Texas area and probably other places too, are a little bit, or not a little bit, they're very tentative to come out and tell their Bigfoot stories because they're afraid they're going to get teased or whatever. Bear with me. My allergies have been going nuts the last 3 days. So we don't want that. We don't want people to feel like they can't share their Bigfoot stories, especially out here in Texas. I've met so many people that have Bigfoot stories, but they won't share them publicly. They're afraid they're going to get ridiculed, and their stories are amazing, guys. And I try and get them to come on the podcast, and they just don't want to because they're afraid somebody's going to hear their voice or whatever, and give them a whole bunch of baloney. But I'll tell you what, if you're on this channel listening to this podcast, you're probably a paranormal supporter of some sort. So anyways, let's get into some Bigfoot. I would call it's kind of evidence. It's just different things that I haven't kind of showed you guys before. We haven't really talked a lot about DNA. Now, you guys I'll show you in a second. You guys have all seen the hair samples, and let me grab this too. And then we got a tooth, and I'll show that in just a minute. I don't want to take it out of its bag because I don't want to touch it. All right, so this lady, she studies Bigfoot DNA, and this is her story. She says that Bigfoot's, as you can see on here, let me blow this up. So it says, study, Bigfoot is part human. It says DNA may provide link. So let's listen to her story real quick. I think this is going to be loud enough for you guys to hear.
With a scientific background of vet who says Bigfoot is real and actually related to us humans.
Well, I was a skeptic. I did not believe these things existed at all prior to this study.
She's talking analysis of Sasquatch fur. After a 5-year study, more than 100 DNA samples, Dr. Melba Ketchum believes the species developed 15,000 years ago, a hybrid cross between Homo sapiens and an unknown primate.
Nobody has ever found another type of people that are living contemporary to us. I mean, they live right under our noses, and we're able to get proof of this until now.
Listen, there have been innumerable sightings. Some Sasquatch hunters have even deigned to speak to Conan O'Brien.
See, I know they exist.
You know he exists, and
They
exist. There's more than one Bigfoot.
They're a species. They're like a primate.
Really? Really? He even has his own Animal Planet series.
These are not just animals. These are a type of people. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be found.
Okay, maybe it's too weird, but even the possibility, oh my goodness, I want to believe. Can you imagine if Bigfoot is actually real? For Good Morning America, Nick Watt, ABC News.
Okay, so I'm not going to replay that, but that's pretty interesting. She has the cojones to come out and say, "Hey guys, I've got DNA, and I can prove that Bigfoot's part human." And I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people say they've sent DNA, and it always comes back, as they call it, contaminated, because it has human DNA in it, and then some other unknown sample. And so this is very interesting. I'd like to get a DNA expert on here with me one of these days to talk about DNA just by itself. If you guys are interested in that, leave me a comment down below saying, yes, I'd love to hear about the DNA, or if that's just boring as hell, then let me know that as well. Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in watching this video, all the videos I'm showing you right now, they're all off YouTube. I will put the links down in the description, both the audio and the video, so you guys can go back and watch and listen to this if you want to. They're short clips. This is under 2 minutes. All right, so let me make this smaller again. So that's interesting. And we'll talk about DNA at the end here. I don't want to get into too much because I'll have to go back to my normal screen and not show you these YouTube videos. So let's move on to the next one. So it says Bigfoot salvage snarl caught on camera. The proof is out there. Now, I've heard a lot of screams and howls and stuff like that. And we've recorded stuff too. If you go back to Joe's camp or a few other videos that we have, unfortunately, a lot of my videos from Black Star Canyon and stuff like that, when that account got destroyed, and I'm not going to get into that story, that UFO story. You can go back and listen or watch on another podcast. But yeah, so I've heard these screams. I've heard them. I've heard what they call the how how. I've heard all of them, and they're creepy as hell, to be honest with you. For something to be able to sit there and scream for 5 minutes straight, I don't know any human or animal that can do that. So whatever is making these screams or howls, and it just echoes through the whole area. Essentially, it's got to be something that we don't know about, or that isn't being told to us, if you will. When we were at Joe's, we caught that 5 minute whatever it was, that scream, and man, there was gunshots going off as it was going on and stuff like that. So, all right, let's listen to this gentleman's video here. Let me see if I don't know if I can make this bigger.
A local horticulturalist is recording himself during a routine mushroom hunt in the woods of northern Illinois. The man is startled by a strange and scary sound seemingly coming from nearby.
So that's a pretty damn long scream. Now, could somebody be out in the forest doing that? Yes. This gentleman wasn't out here looking for Bigfoot. He was out here looking for mushrooms and other things. He's basically just filming a documentary, basically, possibly for YouTube or whatever, on mushrooms, and that's awesome, and wild edibles probably. So for him to catch that on his camera is pretty cool. And he looks like, if you watch the way the video he just turns to start to look for this thing, this scream. This is pretty interesting. This is pretty telling that he actually is not like in on the prank, or if it is a hoax. He was not in on the hoax. He didn't know that was going to happen. Essentially, he just reacts by, you see the camera kind of shake when it first moves, and then you kind of see him panning around to try and find out where that just came from. So he's in the middle of the woods. It's very thick where he is, I can tell. So this call sounds like it's a little ways away. It's not like right next to him.
Drawn out howl that lasts about 9 seconds and certainly sounds like an animal of some kind. The mushroom hunter pans his camera back and forth to see if he can spot anything, but sees nothing.
So he basically says, I think it's time to go at the end there. So my thoughts, I'm just watching, everywhere he's kind of panning. And when I'm watching this video, I don't see any like normal signs of Bigfoot territory. Let's put it that way. Not Bigfoot's kind of establish an area, and basically they will defend that area. People have had rocks thrown at them. They've had screams and howls. They've been chased out of areas. Usually, when that happens, there's all kinds of different structures, like teepees or tree trunks are basically leaned against other tree trunks, or sometimes there's tree trunks crossed across in multiple ways, almost like an asterisk. Um, and then sometimes there's trees that are bent over, like looped over. And a lot of the times they're either pushed into the ground or they're, clipped on, not clipped onto, kind of snagged onto another plant, so that they stay bent. And I've seen, if you're watching this video, I've seen a tree this size bent literally over and pinned to the ground. And the branches were all still green and fresh, and the tree was actually still alive. So I don't know why they do this. The only thing I can say is it's probably some kind of a sign of, this is my territory, or territorial, or the bigger the tree branch or trunk that is bent over, maybe the bigger the Bigfoot. I don't know. It basically could just be saying, stay out of my area. This is my territory. One of these days I want to do, watch some videos on gorilla activity, because I've seen gorillas in the zoos, and a lot of the time I saw orangutan basically walking on all fours and then basically sitting up and then going down on, basically on his tummy, and I'm like, holy crap, I've seen that before. And so anyways, yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. I mean, could this be faked? Yeah, it could be. But for this guy to be completely taken by surprise with this, I'm going to give him a thumbs up here. Is pretty telling. And the fact that he goes, okay, it's time to go. That pretty much tells you, unless there are some Bigfoot hunters in the area, I don't know where this was. I'll have to do some more research on this. I'll have to.
Scott.
Oops.
May 2015.
We lost it.
May 2015.
Sorry about that. Let me go back in.
May.
Okay. So this is the same video. Anyways, I'll have to do more research on this. I was trying to find more details on it. Let me see what happens when I click this description. Here we go. See, while hunting them for mushrooms, a local hunter is spooked by what we believe to be Bigfoot growling in the clip. From the proof is out there. Okay, so it doesn't basically. Yeah, it doesn't say where he was. So that's kind of interesting. I wish they would have basically said he was in this forest at this time of the year, and I wish there was more information to share with you guys. But anyways, so that's interesting. If you're, like I said, if you're watching this, you can see it. If you're on the audio podcast, like I said, I will link this down below. Don't worry, you guys can come find this and watch it for yourselves. Something I always tell people: I don't expect anyone to believe until they've had an encounter where they can say it couldn't be anything else. But in this scenario, or watching somebody else's video, I'm not trying to debunk this. I'm not trying to say it's real or fake. I'm just showing it to you for you guys to enjoy, and you guys can make up your own minds. Okay. So I just want to make that disclaimer and make sure that disclaimer is out there. Like I said, you got to make up your own mind. Is this real? Is it fake? Did somebody, off camera somewhere across the way make that scream? Yeah, possibly. But judging by his reaction, he was not in on it. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one's one of my favorites. In fact, the Finding Bigfoot crew actually went out to look for this and did some research out here. And this is behind another famous hotel. So this is pretty interesting. It says another Bigfoot sighting report near Provo, Utah. And this is basically on the live news, and they're basically talking about it. It made the news. What it is there's a hill up here, some mountains, and then they kind of slope down again. And then essentially there's something big and dark standing on about halfway up on the picture. And they don't know what it is. So let's listen to them talk about this.
Look how big it is. I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
It was a bluebird January morning here in the foothills of Northeast Provo when a group of guys saw a figure on the mountain that looked like something they've never seen before.
You can't just see something that's maybe a once in a century discovery and go do your 9 to 5 job. You got to go look for fur or footprints or some kind of evidence.
And the camera was rolling as Austin took to the mountain with a buddy on a search for the elusive Bigfoot.
So I'm seeing something that is not deer tracks anymore. We're trying to determine what it is.
Their findings were inconclusive.
Was it a bear? Maybe. That's plausible. Was it a person? Also plausible. Was it something else? I think that's also plausible. Who knows?
On the other hand, I spoke to a curator from the Natural History Museum of Utah who says not only is that figure in the video not Sasquatch, but it's safe to say that Sasquatch is not something that would even exist.
What's the likelihood that there are big animals that have gone undetected by scientists and by trained observers?
Okay, so what they're doing is they're throwing in, they're showing you the believers and they're showing you the non-believers. There are scientists out there that will not, absolutely not, admit that Bigfoots are real. It doesn't matter how much proof you bring to them, they're going to say it's this, it's that, it's just fake, and that's the sad part about it. And there's other scientists out there, a very small amount, that will either say yes, the DNA shows that they're real, the footprints show that it's real, there is something out there, can't say what it is for sure, but they're open to the idea of it. And but the scientific community in general is it doesn't matter what it is, it's very closed-minded to anything paranormal. So they're showing some other videos of Bigfoots. That last one was kind of interesting. But essentially that guy, I'm glad that he went all the way up the hill in the first video to look for that and see if he can find any prints. What's interesting also, he found deer prints. So Bigfoots supposedly eat deer. They eat other things too, but they supposedly eat deer. So maybe the Bigfoot was actually chasing the deer, maybe came up on that clearing to look down and see if he could see the deer. And then as you watch it, the creature looks like it kind of turns and starts to walk up at a vertical angle, and then it turns back and walks at another vertical angle. Doesn't walk like a human. Now, could that be somebody in a suit? I mean, there was about 8 to 9 to 10 foot person up there in that freezing cold with a suit on and able to walk up the side of a mountain, sure. But remember, I talked to you guys about this last time. Walking up the side of a mountain is extremely hard. Us humans, we basically have to almost do it on all fours. These guys, these creatures just easily walk up the side of a hill, even if it's almost vertical, almost straight up and down. So, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I appreciate the skeptical side, but to say they don't exist when there's so much evidence of them, and there's a lot of evidence out there, guys. Unfortunately, a lot of it we don't see. Probably about 70 to 80% of it is not shown publicly, and that's sad. So anyways, let's watch the end of this and we'll move on to the next one.
Eric Rickard has spent much of his career exploring places people have never gone before in search of new species. So far, no Bigfoot or anything like it.
So in this video, basically it's another person's video. You can see something very dark and hairy walking on two legs up, again, in a zigzag pattern up the hill. It's not like they're walking like straight up like a human would do to try and just get up the hill. They're walking back and forth like they're almost on a pair of stairs that go back and forth.
Of undiscovered things, particularly in the natural world. But they don't take the form of giant apes running around in largely settled areas of the world.
So what do you believe?
I'm really hoping I get to go look again. Maybe there's something out there to find right here in Utah, even in Provo.
Okay. So yeah, that gentleman basically didn't care anything about the video. He just wanted to disprove it and move on. There's no Bigfoots. There's no way they can be out there. And that's honestly pretty close-minded. I mean, they said there's a lot of the time they say that, a lot of these animals that are extinct, that we find, oh, well, that wasn't possible. And then all of a sudden you find this fish that's supposedly been dead for 100 million years appears. And they're finding species like that all the time. So to say that these things aren't out there, again, I'm not, if you're a skeptic, that's awesome. Be skeptical. I don't expect you to believe until you've had an encounter where you could say that could be anything else but a Bigfoot. But the problem with that is you also have to go out into these locations that are, they're not fun to go into sometimes. They're very hard to get through. A lot of the time they're extremely overgrown. They're places humans don't go, and that's why these things are out there. But people sit on their couch or in front of their computer or on their phone, and they just they don't do any research on their own. But they just, oh no, they don't exist. I mean, that's pretty close-minded. If you haven't actually tried to go out and look for yourself, then you can't really say they don't exist. You can say that, that basically there's a probability that they don't exist. But if you haven't gone out and had your own encounter or tried to have your own encounter, you got to get up off the couch or wherever from your desk and go out into the woods. Go out with a group that's researching Bigfoots. Maybe you'll have an encounter. Maybe it'll change your mind. But anyways, like I said, I want you guys to remain skeptical all the way until the point that you have that encounter. I really don't want you guys to believe 100% that they're real until you've had your own encounter. But again, you got to get out and do that. If you're here in Texas, in Central or East Texas, we'll be doing Bigfoot expeditions in places where we've had encounters before. That's coming, and probably in the next 3 or 4 months. And then we're going to be working on some other projects for that too. So I know everybody loves Bigfoot. This is like our most popular thing. Anything Bigfoot is like the most popular thing on our channel. So, again, I'm just trying to complete the rest of my camping gear. We're waiting. Amanda and I are waiting for the end of hunting season. And then Amanda's, has got something going. So I got to make sure she's okay after that. But she's going to have a surgery that's going to change her life. So we're looking forward to that. And then, like I said, I just got to make sure she's okay and settled. And I got to make sure that's all taken care of before I continue on with leaving her for a weekend and stuff like that. So I'm going to be contacting several people that have contacted me recently. If you're in Central or East Texas or even in West Texas, and you don't mind driving out here to East Texas, into Central or East Texas, or you have a location that you have a Bigfoot location that you want me to come check out, let me know. I'm going to be working with a lot of different people from different backgrounds. Some are hunters, some are just Bigfoot researchers, some are people that want to have an experience. They've never had an experience. And I don't mind going out with skeptics either, because it teaches me. I learn from skeptics, and sometimes, going out with, I love to go out with hunters too, because they're so knowledgeable of everything in the forest. And when they say, hey, that's not normal, that shouldn't be like that, or this footprint, I've never seen a footprint like this, these giant footprints, or even if they're smaller. And for them to say, I don't know what that is, or why that's there, or who the hell's walking around barefoot out here, but that doesn't look like a normal print. That's the kind of stuff I love. So always fun when a skeptic becomes a believer, because we've had some kind of crazy encounter. But anyways, all right. So like I said, if you're interested in going on a Bigfoot expedition, that's coming up probably March or April, depending on the weather. I just want to make sure all the cold weather is kind of out of here. Bigfoots are not really active till right before summer, and they're really active as you go all the way through November and December, because I believe that's when they are breeding. Anyways, so let's move on to the next video. This is Cliff from Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. I have heard rumors that they're starting the Finding Bigfoot show over again, which would be awesome if they do. Really enjoyed meeting Matt and Bobo, so I'm hoping they're going to start back up. I've never had the pleasure of meeting Cliff or Renee. Really like to meet Cliff one of these days, because he's just so knowledgeable about footprints, and I would love to take him out to certain places they found prints but have not been able to cast any castings and get his take on what it is, because he's seen so many footprints in his days. He just knows. That's the cool part about being out in the field so much, is that he knows. He's been researching these things for a long time. So let's listen to them real quick.
What happened?
Well, unfortunately, it's not a new series. Actually, we just showed our final episode, but we were on the air for almost 10 years. I mean, eight and a half years of searching for Sasquatches across 46 different states and 5 continents. And have we found Sasquatches before? Yes, we have.
Well, we found one in Portland yesterday. We'll have to show you that in just a couple minutes. But is this evidence that you've brought?
Okay, so if you're listening to the podcast, he's just talking about the finding of Bigfoot and saying that, yes, they did get evidence of Bigfoot. What he's got in front of him is a bunch of different casts. Looks like some are actually handprints, which is awesome. I would love to get a handprint. In fact, I've got a whole fingerprint collection kit, including the dust and stuff like that, that black dust you see them on like CSI. And then I've got the little piece of tape that you put the fingerprint on, then you close it. I would like to get some kind of proof of that one of these days too. But he's going to be talking about handprints and footprints, and this is very interesting to me. Hopefully it's interesting to you. So let's hear him talk about this.
Yeah, this is actual physical evidence of Sasquatches, because people out there say, no, there is no evidence for Sasquatch. They're absolutely incorrect or unaware of the evidence, because here's some right here.
So again, like he just said, everybody says, oh, where's the evidence? Well, and I'll show you guys this in a second. There's hair samples. Where do the hair samples go? I got to go through and pull those hair samples out of those twigs with a pair of tweezers and some clothes on and a mask and whatever else, and get them put into these little test tubes. And then we'll send these out to somewhere to get some DNA in the future. But I'm just lagging on that. I've been really far behind on a lot of stuff. In there last year, just really everything happened all at once, and we were just running around like idiots with our heads cut off and trying to get stuff done. And we're still playing catch up, but we're almost there. And then once we get caught up, things will start to kick into gear again for us. More investigations. We're trying to wrap up some other investigations. A lot of videos still to review and stuff like that. So that's what I'm working on. Anyways, we have some private clients that we're helping, and with some ghost stuff, and then we'll get back to the Bigfoot stuff. But anyways, footprints are super. I mean, never found a handprint, unfortunately, but footprints are awesome evidence because they can show, hopefully they're not faked, but you can, a good person like Dr. Jeff Melbourne, he actually takes samples. You can actually, if you get a good casting, plaster casting of a possible footprint, you can send it to him and he can analyze it for you and tell you, hey, yeah, this is good, or no, I'm sorry, somebody hoaxed you. But Cliff is also very good at that. And he's got thousands of castings from what I've heard. Basically he makes castings of footprints all the time. So let's listen to him talk about that.
In the right places.
Yeah, and
talk to the right guy.
You can actually look almost anywhere for them as well, as long as there is habitat for them. Because Sasquatches are a perfectly normal animal living here in North America. They just happen to be very, very elusive.
Oh, very big, but somehow very good hider. So are there places people could actually go look if they wanted to go Bigfoot spotting?
Right outside of town. The Clackamas River is a great location. I live out by Sandy. There are a number of reports just on the Sandy River outside of Sandy itself. You can go over to Washington, the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. Sasquatches are literally all around us, but in very, very small numbers, which is ironic for such a large creature.
Okay, so he's talking about Ohio. I believe he lives in Ohio, but he researches in Ohio. He researches all over the place, but mainly in Ohio and in Washington. And I believe Bobo hopefully still goes out with him. I know they have a podcast too. So if you're interested in that, I'll look and see if I can find the link for that, their podcast. I know I see it every once in a while on Twitter. I try to listen when I can, but I have very little time right now. So
You get into Sasquatch searching?
Well, I've always been kind of weird, basically. I've always been interested in eccentric topics. And I guess I've always had this interest, but when I was in college, I stumbled across a book that was a collection of scholarly journal articles written by anthropologists on the subject. And that's when I went, oh my gosh, scientists are actually doing work on Sasquatch evidence. And that's what turned everything. From then, it turned it wasn't a cultural thing any longer. It was a scientific endeavor. And I'm a citizen scientist, basically. I am doing citizen science out in the woods, gathering evidence, compiling it, and sharing it with academics at institutions.
So that's pretty much what we're doing too. We're gathering evidence little by little. I need to start working with people over at Texas A&M. I need to spend some time getting to know some of the different professors over there who basically can help me with this. And if you're listening, and I know we have a big following here in College Station, Bryan, Texas. If you're listening and you're a Bigfoot person, and you you're a doctor or a scientist that researches handprints, footprints, please contact me. Information is down below in the description. I would love to talk to you about some of these sightings we've had and all this other stuff, and just get your take. I'd love to have you come out to places where we're finding footprints and say, hey, yeah, that's a good one, or no, that's not, or what is that, or I've never seen anything like that. I would just love to get your reaction to whatever we're finding. And we do find quite a few prints every once in a while. Sometimes we get lucky, like Joe's. Oh my gosh. I think the biggest one, we found a 24-inch footprint. The thing was 24 inches long, double my foot. And it was at least, God, it had to be like 7 or 8, maybe 10 inches wide. It made my foot look like a little kid's foot. So this is, I know people go, oh, castings are boring, footprints are boring. We want a video of them or something of them other than, footprints. But these are footprints, handprints. They're important because they tell a story. They help tell a story of the possible Bigfoots. So let's listen.
So crazy. That's cool. And so, okay, so we talk about Sasquatches, we talk about Bigfoot. Is Bigfoot just like one famous Sasquatch? And actually, Sasquatch is the type of creature that it is?
Little history lesson. The word Sasquatch is an anglicized term from the Stahelis people up in British Columbia, outside of Harrison Hot Springs. A guy named J.W. Burns was a teacher on the reservation, and he couldn't spell the word that they used for Sasquatch, so he anglicized it. And that was in the 1920s. The word Bigfoot was born in 1958 when a road building crew in Northern California cast a footprint and brought it to the newspaper. And then it actually was a slow news day because across the AP news wires, Bigfoot was born.
Oh, they're like, what should we call this big footprint that we found?
But
yeah, that's super interesting. That was out in California. And, the Bigfoots or Sasquatch or however you pronounce the name of them, there's so many different names for them. They call them wood boogers. They call them they call them creatures of different places. I mean, there's too many of them to go into. There's the beast of Brer Road that they say there's a dog man or it's a Bigfoot or it's a cross between the two. There's so many different names and stuff for them. But Bigfoots have been around since before, basically the English, white people essentially came across and basically came into the United States, into this area. The indigenous Indians had many encounters with them, and it's very interesting to listen to them talk too. One of these days I'll have to do some kind of research and find some locals out here. Maybe there's some local tribes or some reservations where they still have Bigfoot activity. I don't know. There could be. But anyways, if you're a Native American and your family or you or anybody you know has had an experience, we'd love to have you on the podcast. Love to hear your experiences. Love to hear the history of your tribe, and love to hear, what you guys call them, if you believe in them, and go from there. So anyways, let's keep listening.
Ironically enough, if it had walked on its hands, it could have been called Big Hands, because these are handprints from a Sasquatch. Yeah, these two are from. Well, you know, they have an overall large anatomy, shall we say?
So the Oregon Bigfoot Festival, again, this is the second annual, is happening at Glen.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. All right, because essentially, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. So that's some interesting things about Bigfoot. Different takes from different people that have had experiences, the people that don't believe, which is fine. You know, I don't expect anyone to believe. But DNA is super important. I think even if you can't find a body, or even if you do find a body, there's a very high probability that the Men in Black or the GOV are going to step in and take that body before you can do anything with it. I've talked to witnesses that have seen something, possibly shot a Bigfoot, and then black helicopters flew over and they couldn't find the body in that area. So, anyways, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory. So this is the test tube I was talking about. I don't know why that blocks that out. Right there. Okay, if I have both hands up, I'm good. Okay, as you can you kind of see there's a hair follicle inside of this. You can see it kind of floating around. There's a chunk of skin right here that I'm very interested to see if maybe somebody can get some DNA off of. This sample here has been out in the woods. I just won't show it. This sample's been out in the woods for quite a while. It's been out in the woods for like 2 years, so I don't think there's much to it. These hair samples, I don't want to open this bag too much, but you can kind of see. Okay, this camera does not want to show this, so I know it's hard to see, but on the bottom of the bag there's a whole bunch of hairs tangled up in some tree branches. So we had to kind of carefully snip the tree branches and pull it off, and then we put it directly in that bag so that we wouldn't mess with the DNA. We didn't want to touch anything. We didn't want to breathe on it, contaminate it in any way. And then if I can get this thing to show, there's this. If you haven't seen the other video on this is, I don't know if this is a cow tooth. You know, if you're out there and you're a rancher and you know what a cow's tooth looks like, I'm 99% sure this is a cow tooth. But I mean, there's still that slight 1% chance that maybe it's something else. So if you know what this is, bear with me. I'm putting that back on the wall. Let me know. I'd love to set it out. You know, break a little small piece off of it, or see if I can break into the inside of it and get a little bit of a marrow out of there, or tooth matter. That again has been sitting out in the wilderness for a very long time. The chances of getting any DNA off it are like slim to none. But anyways, we will try. I'm hoping off these other hair samples we'll get a better chance of possibly getting something. I'm hoping there's some skin in that as well. And so, all right, guys. Well, this is getting a little long. We just want to thank all of our new viewers and listeners. We are getting a crap ton of you guys, and we're so thankful for you all, for all our listeners and viewers. Thank you guys so much for helping us out. Thanks for buying us a coffee and supporting our channel by hitting that like notification bell. Hit the thumbs up, and then basically subscribing. And if you'll do us a favor too, if you like these videos, do me a favor, share it on your own personal Facebook page or any other social media, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to post your stuff. If you would help us out and just post this video over there, we'd appreciate it, or the audio clip over there. Because it helps us, again, continue to grow and get our name out there and stuff like that. So anyways, this is, like I said, this is getting a little long. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for all you do for us. And we will catch you on the next one.